Okay, so first thing we're looking at is our times tables. We're going to try anything times 1 is itself, right? So 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 2 is 2, and so forth, right? All the way down. Now, I firmly believe you've got to memorize your times tables to 15. 10, as soon as possible. Then 12, then 15. So you're talking 1 times 1 equals 1, 1 times 2 equals 2, 1 times 3 equals 3, and so forth. Right? 2 times 1 equals 2, and 2 times 2 equals 4, and so forth. Right? All the way down to 15. 2 times 15. Now, doing it on a piece of paper, having it on your wall, although I can guarantee you that very few of you are going to have your times tables on a wall, but it's helpful. It's helpful to, to have things looking at you that you are trying to really develop, especially as an adolescent. It's just really crucial. But what's even more helpful is actually drilling yourself. So there have been a lot of studies that have come out, and they say drilling is better than just looking at a piece of paper and trying to remember them without necessarily testing yourself. Although that's better than nothing, obviously, right? Like, effort is crucial, and effort is to be commended. But in general, flashcards can be really helpful. So having flashcards, looking at a card that says 2 times 2, and then saying the number 4, then flipping it over and seeing if you're right or not, and then putting it in the appropriate pile, correct or incorrect. And then the ones that you keep getting correct, you don't have to study those as much because you know those, right? Then just run around with the ones that are incorrect. Wrap a rubber band around them, run around with them. And if you've got an extra 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, drill yourself. Flashcards. I know it's kind of hokey. I'm totally aging myself because digital products are helpful and fun and gamification. All that's great. But what's good about going out, right? Going out to school, coming home, and getting on the bus, or getting in the back of your, parents or guardian's car or vehicle. It's that you have time that you can flip through stuff, you can practice, and so drilling is really helpful. And it's that muscle in your brain that just really helps to develop it, and you can't really you get a really clear picture of whether or not you understand the material, as opposed to just looking at a piece of paper with all the times tables on it, which is, it's good to have both, right? I generally think it's good to have both. You can spot patterns much better in that one pager, right? That's got all your or if you have that on your wall, all the division problems from the 15s, or all the times tables 15s or pluses or minuses, especially when you're a young kid, right? I don't know how many young kids are watching these videos, but as you get older, 10, 12, 14, it's even more important that you just burn this stuff in your brain. So your times tables to 15, really important. And I cannot impress enough upon you guys. Times tables to 10, do that ASAP, right? So that should be your first goal, is memorizing all your times tables to 10. And your second goal should be going up to 12, right? And your third goal, it's kind of extra credit. Not everyone knows this stuff. I mean, not everyone learns this stuff, even goes through high school. but it's helpful. I promise you guys. Looking back, trying to give you guys the recipe that can be really helpful if you want to do well in math is you got to learn your times tables to 15, like the back of your hand, right? 13 times 3, 39, right? 13 times 5, 65, right? 13 times 6, 78. And you're also going to pick some stuff up too. You're going to pick up how to do this stuff in your head. So give an example. So let's say you do 13 times 6. The more you play with numbers, the more patterns you're going to discover, and the more hooks, like memory hooks, you're going to have. You're going to hang things that you can remember, right, on them. So let's just say 13 times 6. If you can visualize that in your head, and you know how to do your times, your multiplication, 2-digit times 1-digit number, you could do it, right? 13 times 6. 3 times 6 is 18. Put the 8 down there, carry the 1, right? Put the 8 down there, carry the 1. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 1 is 7, 78. Bang, right? But let's say you don't know how to do that, or you don't know how to do that super quick, or let's say you want to go a different route. Then let's try a different route. You could do 10 times 6 plus 3 times 6. Right? You can try to do that in your head. So you're like, okay, 13 times 6. That's 10 times 6, 60. 3 times 6, 18. What's 60 plus 18? That for you, for your brain, for where you're at in your studies, might be easier than trying to visualize 13 times 6. I don't know. But obviously as it gets harder, 13 times 9, 13 times 13, 13 times 15, it might get a little bit more challenging in your brain. But it's all practice, right? The more you practice, this stuff will truly become much easier. I hate using the word easy because people think it's I'm totally, copping out. And so I rarely use the word easy. So I will just say easier, right? It just gets easier. Just keep practicing it. Play around with numbers, guys. Play with numbers, and one of the best ways to play with numbers when you're young, or even when you're older, or even when you're an adult, it's not a bad thing to memorize your times tables to 15, especially when you're young. I know a lot of people won't even, want to go back. They think it's so remedial. Even if they're going back to school, they're like, I'm not going to memorize that. It's definitely not as important. And I understand that. It's not as practical. If you're trying to go back and reposition your career, you want to jump into a new career path and you have to take some math classes. I totally understand. But it might help. But if you are younger, or you're raising kids who are younger, this is definitely going to be of value. And if you just think positively about the fact that the more that I learn this stuff, the better that my future may be, the better that my life may be, the better that my brain may be. It generally, having a general optimism about learning and being curious about numbers, I think that it'll definitely help in terms of math, but I think it might help in other respects as well. So times tables to 15.